Hi, good morning guys, glad you could join me. What I thought to do today whilst I'm down in the woods is make a new bow and drill set. Now I've had them in the past, I've succeeded but I've also failed. That's the thing with friction fire, if you don't keep up the practice that you soon get rusty and you soon lose your skill levels. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The air temperature at the moment is around about 2 degrees, there's a lot of humidity in the air after all them rainstorms that we've been having. So only time will tell. I'm just going to go through the wood selection which I'm going to use, but also just show you just how I'm going to carve it out and then hopefully just be able to turn one of those into a nice cup of tea at the end of the day. So just in front of me now, I've just finished harvesting the materials for the bow drill set. I'm just starting off with the main piece at the back here. I think this was a piece of cracked willow. Nice and soft that I can actually embed my fingernail into it. A little bit damp on the outside, but it is dry on the inside. And this is the kind of wood that you're looking for. Dead standing wood. Nice and soft, something with a straight grain. So hopefully once this wood's been split down, I'll be able to carve out a nice straight spindle and also a nice flat board out of it. If it comes that you don't have any kind of willow in your area, things like alder, birch, pine, cedar, them kind of things would work just as well. Just coming down here now, this is just the stick which I'm going to use for the bow. I do like a straight stick like this one is. And this was just a piece of sycamore which I've actually just stripped the bark off it. And then just coming down to the bottom here, just a piece of green hardwood which we're going to use for the bearing block. So the first thing I'd like to do, I'm just going to split this wood down in half. I've noticed there's a natural check just starting just to run down here, so we'll take advantage of that. And then we can just see what the wood's like on the inside. Now if there's any moisture in it, we can actually carve out the board and the spindle, and then it'll give it time just to dry out, just whilst we prepare the other components. Now the beauty of the bow drill is the mechanical properties of it will dry out just a little bit of moisture, but if we give it a bit more time just to dry and starting off with dry wood in the first place, it's just going to give us a bit more chance of success. So there's the two pieces now, it's been splitting off, nice and dry on the inside and a nice straight grain. So I'm just perhaps going to use just one of the halves. I can actually carve the spindle and the board just out of one half here, so I could perhaps just save the other one just for another occasion. So it'd just be a case of just measuring how long I want the spindle and how long I'd want the board. Now the average length, what people say, is around about 8 to 10 inches for the spindle, but I think a lot of it goes on your posture and also your height and also the kind of wood that you're using. So we kind of say 8 inches, that's the span there of what I got between finger and thumb. And then we could just make the board, pretty much the same kind of size. Right, so I've just split that wood down now, and this is going to be the part for the spindle. So what I've done there, I've actually cut it into the square, so it's just a case of just turning the square into a round just by trimming the edges down and just working the way round. This part I'm going to use for the board, I'm just going to put that in the rucksack, keep it as dry as possible, and also any kind of carving that I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to make sure it's done on a dry surface. Any bits of wood or any bits of chippings or shavings that are produced just during the carving section, I'm just going to save, and we're just also going to use them just as fuel just to help with the bush box. So I'm just using this bit of hardwood like I mentioned just for the bearing block. It's just a case of just finding which side I actually find comfortable to hold, and then it's just a case I'm just going to split it down just so we've got a flat section, and then just bore just a small little divot in it just by using the knife. just putting the divot now just into the bearing block here. Like I was saying, this was green wood, so there's a little bit of moisture in it, just help to reduce the friction. And just checking here just with the spindle, just to make sure that it seats in nicely, and just showing there, you know, there'll be very little friction, you know, less chance of it actually shouldering out. And what you could actually do if this was the summertime, you could just mash, you know, a little bit of green leaf or a bit of grass or something just in there, just to create just a little bit of a slickness and just reduce the friction. But this time of year, you know, something like beeswax candle, Vaseline, chapstick, something like that, you know, is also going to help. If I can get the camera to pick that up, this is the cordage that I'm using for the bow. Now this is bank line number 24, so I've reverse wrapped it just to make it just a little bit thicker, just to stop it from cutting into the spindle. Now the beauty about bank line is the fact that it's got tar on the outside of it, so that just helps it just to grip a little bit easier. You know, this one I've had for around about 6 months. It has got a little bit of wear and tear on it, but if it does start slipping too much, you can just apply just a little bit of beeswax to it, just like you can do with anything else that you're using, things like paracord or shoelaces, that kind of thing. And what I'm going to do, I've just got a lark's foot just at one end, and when it comes to attaching it to the bow, you know, it is a quick, simple method. It's just a case of just fastening that just over the top of the bow here, and just seating it just so it sits just in that little notch there. And then we can just actually get the tension what you're looking for, and then once you're happy, it's just a case then of just actually getting the cord and just putting it just in one of the cuts that you've made. Just like so. And if you're happy with that tension, it's just a case then of just fastening it off, just making sure that it doesn't loosen up as you use it. And all I do is just give it a couple of turns and then just actually bring it back over and run it on the other side and just pull it snugly just into the other cut that you've made. And that fitting then, you know, is quite secure. You know, it's quick and easy and simple, you know, something that you can make no problem at all down in the woods. So after using the saw just to cut out that rough notch there, I'm just using the pocket knife now just to smooth things out a little bit and just chamfer just the back here slightly, just start with a little bit of airflow. And that's pretty much the finished burnt out board with notch. I'm just going to get a little bird's nest ready now, and then once we've got a coal produced, we can get a fire lit. So as you can see now, we've got a bit of a coal that's formed, and that took quite well. That took around about 20 minutes. I'm not sure if it's down to the air temperature, my technique, you know, the wood or whatever it is. But we're just going to let this coal just form now, just let it grow nicely. I'm not going to try and disturb it too much, and then we're going to drop it just in the tinder bundle. And then we're going to get a cup of tea made. You know, I think we deserved it out of this morning. So just gently now, just trying to tap that out so we don't destroy it. Well guys, it's fair to say that I've earned this cup of tea, you know, around about 2 or 3 hours worth of work, selecting the wood, carving the set out and also getting the fire lit. You know, if that been an emergency situation, I'd want to cut that time down, you know, at least by half, if not more. You know, but that's the thing about friction fires, it's all about practice, it's all about being familiar with the set, and also being familiar with your surroundings and the wood, and also the best kind of temperatures and humidity conditions to do it in. You know, I've actually seen some good videos where people are actually doing them in the rain, soaking the sets out completely and then drying them out and then actually getting fires lit. So it is possible, you know, it's all down to practice like I said, and if you don't practice these kind of things, you know, your skill set does get rusty. You know, but at least I've managed to get a cup of tea, that was the idea from today, and then next time I'm sure it'll be a little bit easier. You know, it's all about confidence, knowing your woods, knowing the conditions, and also just having the ability to do it when needed. So like always guys, I'll just leave and say thanks a lot for stopping by and watching the video like always. Until next time, you take care, and I'll see you again.